Hello, everyone. I am Fyruz Khan, and today I'm back with a brand new class. I know it's too early in Bangladesh. I know it's very, very early, but I'm on a very different time zone. So for me, it's 10:30 almost, and I know in Bangladesh it's almost 8 o'clock in the morning. So there's a 12 hours of difference. Um, so, yeah. So let's get it going. We have a brand new chapter. I'll tell you what chapter we are studying today. We will start today. Let's talk about some important things. Let's start with it. We have few viewers because I know it's really early in the morning, but it's fine. You can watch it later if you want. Students are responding. Let me just take the messages. Okay, yeah, some students have joined in, which is great. It's quite early. I know I'm in a very different time zone. So, yeah, let's start. So, when I started my business, I never thought that it would be such a difficult and a daunting task. So business is not just about, getting up in the morning, okay, I want to start a business and you jump in. No. There's so many things that you need to think about. It is quite difficult. And if I knew that business was so difficult, I wouldn't have started in the first place. There's so many small little things that you need to think about. So business is not about, if you look at the picture, it's not about, getting up in the morning and you just start off your business. No, it's not that. It needs planning. Okay? So you need to think about, are you going to be a sole trader? Are you going to have a partner? Are you going to go for partnership, or are you going to start with a private limited company and then slowly move on to public limited company? When you think about these things, sole trader, partnership, private limited company, public limited company, there is a question of unlimited liability and limited liability. Okay? So you need to think about these things. These are very, very important. These are basic structures of the business. So it's quite pertinent, it's quite important. You need to think about all these things. What is the main framework that you will use when you want to start off your business? So think about that. So today's chapter will be about liability. So today we have Edexcel Business Studies, Chapter 28, Limited Liability. Okay, it's a small chapter. It has around 32 slides. We will finish it in 2 days. Today we'll do around 17 to 18 slides. That's what I have planned. And then the rest tomorrow. Okay, so let's go ahead. So let's have a look at this picture. A man, a tired man, an entrepreneur, taking all the loads, taking all the burden. Okay, so this is an unlimited liability company where the owner takes all the responsibilities, right? Unlimited liability means full responsibility. The term liability means responsibility. Okay, and unlimited means full, it has no end. So the owner takes the full responsibility. And this is true in the case of sole trader and partnership. We've studied that. Yes, correct? In the last chapter. But this chapter goes into details. So we're talking about it. So for sole trader and partnership, it's unlimited liability where the owner, as you can see in the picture, takes all the liability. There's no separate legal identity. The owner, everything is under the name of the owner. The owner has to take the full responsibility. And this is true in the case of sole trader and partnership. Okay? Um, then going ahead, then going ahead, you know, um, unlimited liability means there is no legal difference. I told you. Okay, the owner takes all the load, all the responsibility, and they are sometimes known as unincorporated business. Unincorporated means that the business does not have an identity. everything is under the name of the owner. Even if you make your trade license, whatever documents you make, everything will be under the name of the owner. And that's why it is known as unincorporated business. I remember, Renuma, you asking me this question. Okay, so unincorporated business means everything is under the name of the owner, even the trade license, even the smallest document. Nothing, nothing is. The business does not have a separate identity. Okay, so sole trader partnership are supposed to be small businesses owned by a few people. Okay, one person or few people. And we've talked what kind of businesses can be, can have unlimited, sole trader or partnership. It can be a grocery store, it can be a small salon, it can be a small coaching center, it can be a small IT company, it can be all sorts of things. So that is unlimited liability. If you just give me 1 minute, I will just turn on the AC. It's getting a bit hot out here. So, yeah, there you go. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to comment here. Renuma, good morning for me. It's good night. It's 10:30 p.m. here. Okay, 12 hours difference. I was supposed to teach you in the in my afternoon, but my daughter didn't let me. Anyways, let's go ahead. Now, we talked about unlimited liability. Let's talk about limited liability. Now, as you can see in this picture, limited liability means everybody takes some kind of responsibility. Your responsibility is shared. In unlimited liability, one person takes all the load, all the responsibilities. But for limited liability, it's not that. Everybody's responsibility is shared. You share the responsibility. So limited liability means less responsibility, limited, less, fixed. The meaning of liability means responsibility, and this is true in the case of private and public limited companies. So in case of private and public limited company, the liability is limited. Okay, and for sole trader and partnership, the liability is unlimited. Clear? Okay. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me. And owners, banks, governments, public, the general public, they all share the responsibilities. It's not just one person. And going ahead, limited liability means it has a separate legal identity. When you make a trade license, yes, as an owner, as a partner, you will have your name, but then the business will have a separate identity. Business naam upar likha thakbe Fyruz Education Services, and Fyruz Khan is the owner. But in case of sole trader and partnership, that's not the case. What's going to happen is Fyruz Education Services, yes, name of the business, but Fyruz Khan is the sole person who will take all the responsibility of the business. That's how it happens. Okay? So that is limited liability, which means less responsibility. And then you have, this is true in the case of private and public limited companies, and which means the business is separate, the owners are separate. Okay, you can sue them, it can be taken over, it can be liquidated, the business can be closed. These things will happen, and they are known as incorporated business. They're known as incorporated business, because they're known as incorporated business because the business has a separate identity. Everything happens under the name of business. It's incorporated. It has a license. Okay, Inc. INC, Inc. Okay, so that's that. If you have any questions, again, put it down on the comment section. Let's go ahead and see. So here's a chart just to make things easy. So if you look at the private sector business organization at the top, you have two kinds: unlimited liability and limited liability. Unlimited liability, example of unlimited liability is sole trader, which is one owner. And then you have partnership, which is owned by partners, 2 to 20 partners, I guess. There's a limit of how many partners you can have. And then you have limited liability, you have private limited, where the company is owned by friends and family. Okay, you can sell shares to only friends and family upon taking further permission from them. And then you have public limited company, where you can sell shares literally to anyone. Okay, so this is the overall chart: unlimited liability, sole trader and partnership; limited liability, you have private limited company and public limited company. So, yeah, everything is very straightforward, very easy. Everything has been broken down into stages, so you should not have any problem. Um, what are the disadvantages of unlimited liability? Let's talk about it. Let's say I have a business, Fyruz Education Services, and if the business collapses, if the business does not do well, then I have to pay my banks, I have to pay my suppliers, I have to pay tax authorities, right? So if I don't have the money, then I have to sell my personal assets, like, let's say, my phone, my books, or my wallet. I have to sell my personal stuff because sole trader or partnership does not have a separate legal identity, unlimited liability. So if the business does not do well, and if I owe money to you, then you can force me to sell my personal items. You, you can force me to sell my personal items, and then you can get your money back. Okay, so I have to sell my private assets to pay you back if my business is not doing well. Let's say I have to sell my house. Let's say I've started a business, it's not doing well. I have to pay you. I have to sell my phone. I have to sell my house. I have to sell my land to pay you. And I have to sell my private stuff because it is an unincorporated business, which means as an owner, I have to take full responsibility. Okay, so that's the first disadvantage. That's the first disadvantage. Um, so there you go. Let me just check. I think I have a message. Um, so Renuma, so turn off the lights at the back. I uh, you know I really don't know the functionality of the lights here. I will check it tomorrow. I think you have a problem with reflection. I'll try, and I think now it's okay. I've just moved it a little bit. Okay. um so there you go. And what happens is, so you have to sell your private stuff. There we go. And then the second thing is, let's say I have some students, and I did not behave with them properly, or let's say I have problems with them, or I have told them something wrong. So they can sue me. They can take actions against me, and I will be liable again because it's a sole trader or partnership. It's an unincorporated business where I have to take full responsibility, where the business does not have where the business does not have a separate identity. So, as a student, you can sue me, and I have to pay compensation to you. Okay, so I will be liable because there's no separate legal identity. So, even in case of unlawful acts, even in case of unlawful acts, I have to take all the responsibility, and that is really not good. Okay, so there you go, right? So even in terms of law, I have to take full responsibility. So keep that in mind. Um, and then, what are the advantages of unlimited liability? Which means, what are the advantages of sole trader and partnership? The advantages of unlimited liability is that it's easy to raise finance, because you know that as an owner, like if you want to invest at FES, and if it's a business like sole trader and partnership, it's easy to raise finance because as an owner, I'm going to take the full responsibility. So I'm more trustworthy. Okay. So as an owner, I have to take the full responsibility so the business is more trustworthy. Because if anything goes wrong, you can sell my personal assets. I have to sell my personal assets to pay you. So keep that keep that in mind. Okay. So there you go. Right. Um, so yeah, so that's the advantage. It's easy to raise finance because as a sole trader or a partnership business, it's more trustworthy. Because if anything goes wrong, I can sell my phone, I can sell my house, I can sell my wallet and pay you. So I'm more trustworthy, right? Um, any more advantages? Any more advantages? Um, Okay, so now we have come to advantages and disadvantages of limited liability. Okay, so let's talk about that. Limited liability means private and public limited company. Okay, now keep this in mind that let's say I have a business, Fyruz Education Services, and I have 50% of it. Okay, and I've invested to get 50% of the business, I've invested 60 lakhs, BDT 60 lakhs taka. Okay, now, in this case, my personal assets or personal wealth are not at risk. What is at risk is this 60 lakhs taka. That's it. My personal assets are fully protected. So, in private and public limited companies, the money that's going to be at risk is the money that you have invested. That's the first advantage of limited liability companies. Okay, so if you have invested, let's say 20,000 taka in a business, which has limited liability, then only 20,000 taka is at risk. You don't have to sell your personal assets like your phone, house, wallet, or books. No, they are fully protected. So that is the first advantage of limited liability company. Okay, next up we have the same thing for even legal claims. Now we've just done for unlimited liability where owners also have to take responsibility of legal claims. But for unlimited liability, you don't have to take legal claims. Okay, the company will be responsible for it because in limited liability, the business is separate, and and the owners are separate. So if you've done something wrong, the business will be responsible for it. Okay, so if a customer sues a limited company, if a customer has a complaint, if a customer files a case against a limited company, you as an owner, you're not at risk. Your business is at risk. Okay, so keep that in mind. So in limited liability company, if a customer files a complaint, it goes to the company, not you as an owner. But in unlimited liability, if a customer files a complaint, files a case, as an owner, you have to take the responsibility because there's no separate legal identity. Okay, great. Sorry about the lights. I've just realized it. I will take care of it tomorrow. I will see what I can do. Okay. Um, next comes since your private assets are protected. Okay, because in limited liability company, in private limited and public limited, only the amount that you've invested is at risk. So your private property or wealth is fully protected. Okay, what happens is people you will get more investors. You will want to invest in my company because it's a limited liability company, and your personal assets will not be at risk. Let's say you've invested, let's say in a limited liability company, you've invested, let's say $100. Okay, so let's say in a limited company you've invested $100. So $100 will be at risk. Your personal assets, like your phone or wallet, will not be at risk. Okay, so this is why more people are willing to invest in your business because your risk is limited. Your risk is only of $100 and not your property, not your land, not your personal belonging. You precisely know what is at risk. So in this case, $100 is at risk. Okay, so keep that in mind, right? Um, so yeah, so choosing appropriate finance is also important. We are going to the next topic, and then we'll finish it off. We're doing quite well. 20 minutes. We are doing quite well. Again, the kind of money that you should choose also depends on a lot of things. Let's talk about it. Okay. Um, how do you know that you need short-term loan or short-term finance or long-term finance or short-term loan or a long-term loan? Okay. Sometimes you need to borrow money for a long time, let's say 10 years. So in that case, you need a long-term loan, like a mortgage. Okay, like a mortgage. Let's say I will borrow $100 from the bank. So in return, I will give my house, or I'll give my phone, or I'll give my land. So and that is known as secured loans. Okay, because you're giving away something. Okay, you're giving away something, and that is usually long term, for 20 years, 25 years, 10 years, more than 10 years, right? So let's say you're borrowing $100 from the bank, and in return you're giving your phone. Okay, so that's a secured loan, because as a security you've given your phone. You can borrow, let's say, 50 lakhs taka, and as a security you can give your house, you can give your property, you can give your land. That's a secured loan. And secured loans are always for long term, 25 years, 30 years, 10 years, 15 years. So keep that in mind. Unsecured loans means you will borrow $100, but you will not give anything. Okay, and usually it ranges from 1 to 5 years, right? So think about it. What kind of money do you need? Do you need for long term secured loans, unsecured loans? Sometimes you need money for regular use. Okay, let's say for everyday use. For that, you will not apply for a long-term loan. You won't do that. You won't apply for an unsecured bank loan. No, probably you'll use your credit card. You'll use your overdraft. Overdraft means, let's say you have $100 in the bank, but then you can withdraw $200. You can withdraw more money than you have in your account. Okay, that's why it's called overdraft. You can withdraw more money in your account. Trade credit, I told you, baki, right? Mamar dokane baki kora. That's trade credit. Okay, so there you go. Sometimes you can buy shares, you can sell shares and raise money. So think about it. Short term, long term, what kind of finance, secured loan, unsecured loan, mortgages, trade credit. Are you going to use your credit card, overdraft? Different situation will require different treatment. Okay, so different situation will require different treatment. If you are, and we will talk about it. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead. I don't want to give out everything, early, and the financial position will always change. If you're not doing well, if the business is doing poor, then banks will not give you money. Even if banks give you money, your interest rates will be high, because it's more likely that you will not give the money back. So keep that in mind, that if you're not doing well as a business, it will be difficult for you to get the loan. Even if you get the loan, interest rates will be high, because as a business, you're not doing well. So they will take advantage of it. Okay? So keep that in mind. Okay? Right. Let's go ahead. Okay, let's go with the picture. Let's say you want to build a new factory. Let's say you want to build a new factory. For building a new factory, which is a capital expenditure, you need long-term loans for 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, right? Mortgages. Probably you'll borrow, let's say, 30 crores, 40 crores, and you'll mortgage your land, you will mortgage your property, and then you will get the loan, right? These are known as secured loans. So if you're building a factory, then you need long-term loans. You need mortgages, which is secured loans. But if you need to refuel your car, if you need to refuel your car, which is revenue expenditure, which is known as for everyday use, okay, working capital, everyday use, uh, you will use short-term loans, very, very short-term. Probably you will use your credit cards. You will use your overdraft. You will use trade credit, baki. So it depends on the situation. Both the situation in this picture, in this slide, is completely different. Okay, it is completely different. For building a factory, you need a lot of money, capital expenditure. You're spending a lot of money on it, and it's going to be yours forever. Okay, and you need long-term loan for 25, 30 years. Bank will ask for security. Okay, so you will mortgage your land, house, and whatnot. But if you need to refuel your car, if you need to buy, let's say, toiletries, these are all revenue expenditure. Revenue expenditure means the cost that helps the expenditure that helps to keep the business running. Okay, and for that you will use a credit card, overdraft, straight credit. So, yeah, so that's what we I wanted to talk about. Let's go ahead. What else do we have? Oh, we are almost done, which is great. It also depends on a lot of things, like, let's say, if you want to borrow 30 crores from a bank at 9% interest rate. Let's say bank A gives you 30 crores at 9%, and bank B gives you 30 crores at 8.5%. You will always go with the lower rate of interest. Am I correct? Yes. So that's also there. So you will always, as a business, you would always want to borrow money. You will always want to borrow money at lowest interest rate. You will look for less expensive. Okay. And one more thing, private or public limited companies will get loans like 30 crores, 10 crores, 5 crores, a big amount of money. But for a partnership or a sole trader company, it is impossible to get 30 or 40, 50 crores. Okay. Because of the structure. Because owner has to take all the liability, and that's why they will not give out the loans to you. Okay. Therefore, always starting with a private limited company is a good option. Okay, is a good option. It's not mandatory, but it's a good option, because then you can borrow a lot of money from the bank. So that's there. So think about that, right? So yeah, we have finished for today, under 30 minutes, 27 minutes, 30 seconds, which is great. If you have any questions, so write it down here. And we're done. Great. It was a great class. We had a lot of viewers watching our class. So today we've talked about liability. We've talked about unlimited and limited liability. Okay. Um, and we've talked about the advantages, we've talked about the disadvantages, and different situations. Tomorrow, in the next class, we'll finish the chapter. Okay, great. If you have any questions, please write down the comments on the comment section. Do not hesitate to like our Facebook page. Just type in Fyruz Education Services. You can also follow our YouTube channel. Type in Fyruz Education Services again. Thank you very much. I will see you in the next one.